All right, what to do with Dylan Cruz? He has sat out 2 in a row against a right-handed pitcher, and we know that he is off to a very rough start. And now if he's, I don't want to say he's falling into a short side platoon, but I guess it is a possibility. I mean, what are you guys doing with Dylan Cruz right now?
Is it May yet?
No.
I'm not dropping Dylan Cruz. Bench him until he turns it around. Maybe the Nationals are done with him and they send him down or keep benching him, but I'm not going to give up on a player of that talent who I drafted that early this soon. It's just not going to happen. There's a reason you have a bench. People always act like you just don't have benches. And like you can just like I'm looking at the chat right now. You got to drop Tristan Casas. Well, no, you don't. You can just put him, like, I get it. It's frustrating, but like, you have 5 to 7 bench spots, presumably. You can just put a guy there. Like
it does depend on the format.
Yeah, if you play in a daily lineup league, it's like those are more valuable, you know.
I was thinking like the standard CBS head-to-head points format where you have 5 bench spots, and I'm trying to get them all filled with pitchers.
I get it, but like. It's not an ideal
world. I might
world.
have one hitter on my
dropping Dylan. I think you are more likely to regret dropping Dylan Cruz or Tristan Casas or Lars Nootbaar or whoever. I'm just looking at all the players and that people in the chat are saying suck right now. So get all your players who you think suck out. You are much more likely to regret dropping those guys than you are to regret not adding Easton Lucas.
Well, it depends how many losses you take in the meantime, I guess. But
you're not losing. Like, if you lost because you didn't pick up Easton Lucas, I'm sorry. Like that, I apologize from the depths of my heart. That one's on me then. But we might just play head-to-head points differently. But like, I try to cram as many starts as I can into my lineup every week. I agree, but you still have 5 bench spots.
I know,
at least
that's not very many. And I'm just talking in that one format. And
it's more than one.
No, I'm talking about that one format.
I'm saying it's more than one bench spot though.
Oh. Yeah, it's more than one bench
like
spot.
You probably have a player who's less interesting than Dylan Cruz or whatever upsidey pick who isn't playing well right now.
I don't know. It's been my experience in those shallower head-to-head points leagues that there are always good hitters on the waiver wire. So they're just more expendable.
Mm-hmm.
And there are rarely good pitchers on the waiver wire. But like, it's just that one, I don't want to overemphasize that format. Like the general rule, like, why would you drop Dylan Cruz? And I'm not even suggesting to drop Dylan Cruz in that format. So maybe this conversation has gone on longer than it should. I'm just saying, those are the formats. Like, I'm going to drop Jonathan India in a head-to-head points league because I can't start him this week. That's the only reason I'm dropping him. He has an injury tag next to his name. I can't start him, so I'm going to drop him for a second baseman I can start.
But
when
Jonathan
normally
India
Roto logic would be like, you want to drop a player just because he has an injury tag next to his name. So that's what I'm getting at. But I like my frustration this time of year is like, why are we treating mid-April like it's the end of the season and we're reflecting back? Like, why do we want to rush to the end of the season and say, clearly this didn't work out with this guy? Like, we've got almost 6 months to go. So we got to pace ourselves with these takes on how good players are.
It's 10% of the season so far. That is nothing. And we do this every year. And I know, Frank, you want us to move on so we can move on, but it's 10% of the year. Your opinion of a player cannot change that much in 10% of the year. Unless something drastic happened. If you liked Dylan Cruz enough to draft him at his ADP, which was like 125, there's just no way that your opinion of him can change that much in 12 games that he's played. Like, that is not how baseball works. The sample size, the information, it doesn't matter. He could strike out 50% of the time, and it just doesn't matter. Like, it matters if the Nationals lose faith in him. But for the most part,
Which,
and look, Cruz does not have a long track record. And yes, you are right to point out that he has been sad against two right-handers, and maybe that is the start of them losing confidence in him, in which case that is a signal. But that he's been bad, I just don't care. Like, I really do not care that guys are struggling or hitting really well right now. It matters when you go from Jung-Hoo Lee, who was like 50% rostered, to, yeah, he should be rostered everywhere, because the opportunity cost of adding a guy is nothing. The opportunity cost of dropping a player with Dylan Cruz talent is incredibly high, especially when you're going off 37, 45, whatever plate appearance. It's just not enough information to make an informed decision. If you don't want to make an informed decision, that's totally cool. Like, it's your team. But if you're asking us whether you should drop Dylan Cruz or Tristan Casas or whoever, whatever top 150 pick is struggling, we're going to say no. Or at least I am.
I understand your premise completely, but I do think a lot of people that are listening to this and maybe have these issues or these thoughts or these questions, they play in shallower formats. And
sure,
with someone like Dylan Cruz, like, say you had him on your team and you already missed out on like Jung-Hoo Lee, who got picked up. We were talking about him earlier as a potential top 30 outfielder rest of the season. That might be better than Dylan Cruz, right? So like,
but we were drafting Dylan Cruz. You
might miss out on the player that can replace Dylan Cruz or even Tristan Casas.
Well,
like, if you missed out on like Soderstrom and Torkelson and Ben Rice already, but you might have missed out on your chance for someone who might turn out to be a top 12.
That's why I'm continuing to point out you have 5 to 7 bench spots. So like, thinking of it as Cruz versus Jung-Hoo Lee, like, I don't know, man. If you're in a spot where Dylan Cruz is clearly the least interesting player on your roster, then I don't even think you need Jung-Hoo Lee, because your team is awesome. Because you are in a spot where the 24th or 29th best player on your team is the number 3 prospect in baseball. That's awesome. That's not going to be the case in most places. I've got Joe Adell in some leagues. Like, I'd be thrilled to drop Joe Adell before Dylan Cruz. Like,
I think the kind of leagues where people are entertaining dropping Cruz, though, are not ones where Joe Adell is rostered.
Right. But I think you probably have a worse player than a guy you just drafted in the 11th round.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago.
You might. I don't know. I don't think it's crazy that if people play in shallower leagues, he could be like, obviously he could be your like least useful player right now. And even Scott mentioned earlier, like, he thought about dropping Matt Shaw, and Matt Shaw is regarded as one of the top prospects in all of baseball too. So I really don't think it's that crazy. I would try to hold on to him, obviously, but I do think a lot of the people listening do play in really shallow formats.
To be clear, I have Dylan Cruz was one of my most drafted hitters. I have not dropped him anywhere or thought about dropping him in any of the leagues where I drafted him. But I didn't draft him in a 3 outfielder league where he was my 3rd outfielder drafted, and you know, I picked up Jung-Hoo Lee since then, and I'm obviously starting him over Cruz, and you can, I don't know. I don't want to make the case for dropping Dylan Cruz. I just understand specifically in those head-to-head points leagues, and we should probably move on. But I understand that, like, you can only afford to invest maybe one bench spot in a hitter, or else you're just not getting enough starts to compete week to week.